Welcome to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I am producer Caleb Baumgartner, and in this episode, we answer a listener question about SEO in unconventional places such as Facebook. Can you apply SEO tactics to Facebook to get a profile that ranks online? Is this a good approach to building your brand? Bob, Jesse, and Sue answer these questions and more. Got a question? Let us know at localseotactics.com/questions. Thanks for stopping by and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I'm your host, Jesse Dillon, here with Bob Brennan, Sue Ginsburg, ready to answer some questions. Sue, you look like you're hanging out on the beach there. Kind of a nice view.
I wish it was the real beach. It is the virtual beach of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And the reason that I am on the virtual Myrtle Beach today is we have a listener's question who called in with his question. We got a call in, which is doubly exciting. And that question is it possible to have a Facebook or other social media page, such as Yelp, optimized enough that it can rank competitively in a Google search? So thank you, Jeffrey. And thanks for the visual of Myrtle Beach coming up there too. Jesse, do you want to play that?
Yeah, we'll play it so everybody can hear it. You obviously have talked to him, Sue, afterwards. The audio wasn't the greatest. So we did want to kind of clarify the question and get some more information, but we'll play it here to get it straight from his call.
Hello, this is Jeffrey Levitt. And I'm curious, is it possible to get competitive SEO on the Facebook page? That's all I had a question about. Thanks.
So Sue, like we said, you kind of called him and expanded a little bit more, but the gist of his question is, Facebook, Yelp, things like that, right? Can you rank them to help your SEO? So,
right.
I know Bob and I've got some definite feedback on that, but if you want to set it up a little bit more, some context first before we dig in.
Okay, so the quote of the day today: it is much more important to work on the right thing than it is to work many hours. Most people waste most of their time on stuff that doesn't matter. And that's a quote by Sam Altman, who is an American entrepreneur, investor, programmer, and blogger. He is CEO of OpenAI and the former president of Y Combinator. So he sounds like a pretty smart man, Sam Altman. This question, not exactly like this, comes up from many of our clients because they, of course, are talking to us about one part of their marketing investment, and they have other parts, whether that's Facebook or other social media channels. And we want to know this because the better your marketing is integrated, the stronger it will be and the more impact it'll have. So the need for SEO and optimizing your website has become fairly mainstream, I will say. And this question touches on something that I think may be a little less mainstream. So I love that. Now, I would ask our listeners, as the business owner and the experts in their business, how many of you have thought about this question? How does your website and your SEO on your website integrate with your other social channels, or for that matter, any other part of your marketing plan? There are so many options out there these days. How do you decide what the right thing to work on is? How do you decide where to put your marketing investment? Does SEO make sense to do for Facebook, Yelp, and other things, or doesn't it? Is that the right place to spend your time, money, and your marketing investment? Is that something that you DIY, or do you hire experts? All of these questions come up surrounding your marketing investment, and it all starts with, what's the best way for me to spend it? Where am I going to get the best ROI? And so I think this is a great question. No business owner wants to make a decision not well informed, and information is power. So why don't we see what Jesse and Bob have to say about this, and we can all be more informed and make better decisions on this subject. Take it away, Jesse and Bob.
I think there's a multi-part answer here. Bob, I'll let you speak to it first about I think the first part is, can you have a Facebook page, right? For example, what Jeffrey called it on. Can you have that rank even, right? And we've seen that firsthand over the years.
Yeah, I mean, if it's small enough market and tight enough niche, almost anything will rank. Right. And so if you're handcrafted buggy whips in Podunk, Utah, your Facebook page is probably going to rank, and probably all you need is that in the GMB. But if you have any kind of service that is competitive in any kind of market that's, targeted, certainly you can do a Facebook page, should do a Facebook page, and it may rank and it may do quite well. However, you're going to have to, ask yourself as a consumer, depending on what service you're providing, how legit is this organization that I'm taking my car to, for instance, or whatever it is that you're doing. So that from me as a consumer, from a psychological standpoint, doesn't mean I'm not going to call that person. It just means it's gonna sit in the back of my mind. One, how long have they been in business? Two, why aren't they investing in a website that legitimizes their business from a, let's say, a conversion standpoint? From a tactical SEO standpoint, I believe you can rank it, and you can dive into that. But ultimately, from that conversion piece, you eventually you're going to want to invest in a website. And I'm a big fan of crawl, walk, run. So crawl with your Facebook page if that's what you want to do, to dip your toe in the water and make sure, hey, we're getting calls. Okay, once you know that's happening, invest even further into some kind of web page or website.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point there. Let's say if you did do that, and you're getting some traction with Facebook, and now you got a website. If your Facebook page was able to rank, you should be able to rank your web page too with some good SEO, right?
Right.
It kind of shows the market is one that's maybe easier to penetrate. Now you've got two listings, right? Somebody does a search and they see you. Now they see your website and your Facebook page, maybe even your GMB, like you're saying. That's where you really start to look dominant, and build way more confidence than if you just had your Facebook page. And I'd say, yeah, you're right. You can you rank a Facebook page? Yes, but for sure it's the old SEO, it depends type answer with, like you were saying, market size and niche. I do think it's important, regardless of that, to do SEO, or, air quotes here in the video, quote SEO on your Facebook page, Yelp, like you mentioned, Sue, really anything that's your main profiles. If you search for your products or your services on on Google, anything you're seeing on the first page or two of Google, right? If you're seeing Facebook pages show up, if you're seeing Yelp listings show up, whatever it is, if you're listed within those directories or those social networks, whatever your profile or your, listing page is, SEO that thing, meaning use your keywords, use your geographic references, the same type of content you'd put on your web pages or your GMB. Do that to all these other profiles, because this is all online information, right? Whether it's your web page or Facebook's web page or whatever, if it's listing your business, if you get your name, address, phone number type stuff tied to it, Google's still going to see that stuff. It's going to assimilate it with you and kind of, give you credit for better or worse with that on your brand. You can even take that stuff a step further using schema on your website. You can tell Facebook, like, this is my Facebook page, this is my Yelp listing, this is my YouTube channel, and further kind of get the benefits of that entire ecosystem, tying it all together. But yeah, Bob, definitely echoing what you're saying. Long-term strategy, I wouldn't only, try to rank my Facebook page, right, for SEO. But in a basic sense, you can do SEO on your Facebook page. You can rank it. We've seen people even use their Facebook like as their GMB link, right? If you're in your Google My Business listing, you can list a website or link your website. We've seen people link to their Facebook page, right? Again, definitely gives you a presence if you have none, but doesn't build a lot of confidence if I'm looking, or if you're in your example about looking at some different competitors there. So I hope that helps Jeffrey out. Kind of a little bit of a meandering answer on, yes, you can do it, but maybe you shouldn't in certain situations, and how to maybe even, leverage it further for your overall brand strategy. But for me, a big takeaway is, even if you don't think it can rank, there's still overall SEO benefits, for filling these profiles out properly using the same keywords, right? And these kinds of things, because it all pumps that same flywheel. So
interesting that you both interpreted that. It sounds like you both interpreted that to mean, do you want your Facebook to rank if you don't have a website? What if you have a website and you have a Facebook page?
That's where I'm saying, you definitely want to use the same type of content on your Facebook page for your About Us, right? Or maybe some of the services or products you can list. You should be able to take your developed content or your developed concepts off your web page and apply them to Facebook. I wouldn't expect your Facebook page to outrank your website though, right? So I think Bob and I both gravitated to that.
Yeah.
Like you said, Bob, the crawl, walk, run, kind of in the mindset as a business owner. Why would I want to rank my Facebook page? Well, I must not have a website yet, right? So
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of literally starting from the basement. I think you can start a business and should start a business. I think you should have a full-time job and then, start a side hustle or a business with little risk. I think we all want the shortcut, and throwing thousands of dollars at something or hundreds of thousands of dollars at something and say it's going to work. Well, you can't be doing that unless, you've got that money to lose. And it's a great way to test the market. Do your Facebook page, try to optimize it, for SEO, but understand your Facebook page isn't going to rank if you're in the auto repair business or the plumbing business or any of the, common businesses, unless you're in a town that's population 3,000 or, sub 10,000, then that will probably work in that point. But if any major metropolitan, it's just not going to work. So.
Agreed. And there's the exception to the rule, right? I'm sure somewhere out there, somebody found one, right? In Chicago, some certain service, because some Facebook page has, 185,000 followers or something, right? But generally speaking, I'd say that's 100% spot on. So.
It's interesting because it used to be that LinkedIn very regularly would be the first thing that popped up when you did a search if the company had a business page, a company page on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's the case anymore. And maybe Facebook is one of the top things that does pop up.
I think as you're saying that, Sue, I would expect that if somebody was searching for my brand, my company, still be very possible. LinkedIn's a very trusted website, right? Very authoritative. But if you're looking for that more the service keyword, right? Like Bob's saying, auto repair Minneapolis, right? Or custom buggy whip in Podunk, Utah is the even better example from this episode. That is something, that's not, you're not talking about the brand, right? So then it'd be the SEO of that page, not so much the branding of it. So yeah, but great question. Like you said on the front side, Sue, thanks for Jeffrey for calling it and leaving it and playing it. It's just funner to play somebody's question than to kind of have you read it, right? So
it's great. It's really great. Yes. So, okay. I will say, if you guys don't have anything else to add.
No, I think that wraps that one up.
If you remember one thing and one thing only, yes, you can get your Facebook or other social pages to rank. The question for business owners is, where do you want to rank and what do you want to show up first? If you have a website, don't you want that showing up before your Facebook or with your Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. So all of those considerations, just like this quote says, it is much more important to work on the right thing than it is to work many hours. Most people waste most of their time on stuff that doesn't matter. Make sure whatever it is you're working on is what matters and what's going to make the biggest impact and get you good ROI.
Right on. Thanks again for Jeffrey for calling in the question. Everybody else out there, if you've got a question, go out to localseotactics.com. Go down to the bottom, click on the link for questions. You can either type it in with a text form or like Jeffrey, you can call it in and we'll play it on the show as a reminder. And Jeffrey can be on the lookout for the FedEx man. To drop it off here somewhere in the next week is if you call it in, we're going to send you off a free t-shirt, free Intrix t-shirt. So you'll be lucky enough to have Sue follow up with you, kind of get that information, and we'll fire that thing off as soon as you call in. So don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. All right. I think that wraps it up for this episode, guys. Great questions, Sue. Good insights, Bob. And hopefully that helps some people out there. All right. Take care, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Bye now.
Yeah.